What is up, all you beautiful people? It is I, AkemiTCG, back here with a brand new video. This meta is funny, okay? It's not an emancipator. I'll just either control or you make a board. If you can't break the board, you lose. If you control your opponent too hard, you also win. So a lot of people are talking about very commonplace cards such as Dark Ruler No More, Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm. We all know, everybody and their dogs, every family, every person knows that these cards are good. But people forget that there's so many cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! So today, we're gonna talk about 10 cards that clap the meta that people are not talking about. Hope you all enjoy. We are back here in the den. I got my boy Mario with me.
What's going on, Akemi? How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Yeah, doing great. How are you?
Oh, I had an amazing day. I talked to a really cute girl on Tinder. I got to play some Yu-Gi-Oh! With my friends. It was amazing.
Damn, you're trying to flex on my audience here, dude? Alright.
I gotta let them know what's going down.
Alright, let's get right into it. Top 10 cards, or not top 10, but just 10 cards that clap the meta that people just aren't talking about. And just as a heads up, these cards are relatively budget as well, so this is the 1-2 punch that y'all need. So first card is gonna be Hey TRUNADE. Where's that card? Where is that card?
Hey,
there it is.
TRUNADE.
Oh, there's a comma in there. Hey TRUNADE. All it does, okay? Return all set spells and trap cards on the field to the hand. That's the very critical part. The part that says set. How do you feel about this card?
I really like it. I think especially with Altergeist Multifaker coming to 3, it's a great way to just bait everything out in the back row. And, you know, some decks like yours in particular, Crusadia, can just go for the quick OTK. This is a really versatile card and helps a lot of going second decks push for game.
Absolutely, too. And then if they have, like, set in perms, they just can't use it. Just make sure, as a heads up, do not play this card in an area where there is a set card, unless you cannot avoid it.
That is correct, and don't worry so much unless you have a monster on the field, because remember, Imperm does need to negate a monster effect if it's going to negate the back row effect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not too much to say about this card besides that it's good, and it gets the job done. If it resolves, sometimes that'll literally win you the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. What do we got for the next one?
RAIGEKI. People forget about this card. People forgot about it, dude.
I would say so, man. Especially with Darkhold coming to 3 now, Darkhold and RAIGEKI have kind of just phased themselves out of the meta.
Absolutely.
But if you think about it, in a format where Dingirsu doesn't exist as much right now, I mean, there is a little bit of Orcus running around, but not nearly as much as the last format. RAIGEKI is, if anything, it's a really good card just to throw out as a bait.
Oh, absolutely, too. Like, and if they have any spell negates, let's say they make a giant board and they have any spell negates, they have to negate that RAIGEKI. They're not just going to lose their board.
Exactly, and RAIGEKI to me is a card that's really good in tandem with other cards. If you can hook this up with a Dark Ruler No More and turn off their Herald and their Borreload Savage, yeah, you can pretty much clear their board with a RAIGEKI.
Yeah, it's super free, and it's, if you really think about it, I mean, it's not as good as Evenly Matched, but at least they have no cards left standing afterwards.
Exactly, you're just clearing whatever threats are on the board, so then you can proceed to pick apart their board. For example, as I used the Dark Ruler No More, it's a great card to follow up with RAIGEKI. Again, it's a good card that's used in tandem with other cards. You can pretty much assume that this card is going to be negated in most circumstances.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, it's just a great card to throw out there. They have to react to it.
Absolutely. And for the next card, we have, it's your boy. It's a trap card this time. Oh god, I hate this card. GOZEN Match. Each player can only control one attribute of a monster. Send all other face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. And shoutouts to Crusadias, they're all different attributes. All of them.
This card might as well just be called Frozen Match, because every time you activate it, you pretty much tell your opponent, freeze, duelist.
It was so good in Thunder Dragons too, right?
Yeah, it's just a really good card because it works over time. It's a continuous trap, so if your opponent has no way of dealing with it, they're essentially just going to be stuck under it for the match. It's great in the Eldritch matchup because once they normal summon a Jet Synchron, you can flip this bad boy and their turn pretty much ends.
That's hilarious. Hey man, this card works. The only downside to it is it's a continuous trap card, so it is very slow. And let's say you're going second, you have in your opening hand, it's really not that good, to be honest.
Right, it really is only a good card going first, so it's a good card to incorporate into going first decks. However, in some circumstances, if you can bait out their negates, you can kind of use GOZEN as a pseudo board wipe. Once your turn comes back around to you. It really just depends on the situation.
Absolutely. And the next card we have, it's going to be an Exceed card. And y'all forgot about this card too, I swear. You're forgetting all these cards. Baguska, number 41, the Terribly Tired Tapper.
He is incredibly tired. If you look at the card, he is sleepy as all heck. Actually, in the OCG, he had a bottle of beer, but then because Konami in the USA likes to censor our cards, he now has a pillow and he's incredibly tired.
Yeah. So once per turn during your standby phase, detach a material. For y'all that don't know what this card does, if you cannot destroy it. So pretty much this card stays on the field for around 2 turns, roughly. This attack position card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Okay, can be useful. Depends. I usually don't see this card in attack mode. However, while this card is in face-up defense position, change all face-up monsters on the field to defense, and also negate the activated effects of monsters that were in defense position when that effect is activated. What do you say about that card?
Right, so as you alluded to, you're not really going to see the first half of the effect used that much, where the card is going to be in attack position and not being able to destroy by card effects, except maybe in a grindy situation. However, you can see this more as a turn 0 or turn 1 play, particularly with a card like Parallel Exceed that kind of allows you to turbo out rank 4s. You can kind of just slap this guy in defense position against a deck like AkemiTCG and pretty much shut them out of the duel. The idea of this card is you want to be able to give yourself an extra turn, so it's particularly nice if you didn't open very well, but you can make a rank 4.
And the best part too is if you're playing like a link heavy deck and you somehow manage to summon this card, all your link monsters can still pop off because they cannot be in defense.
Correct, because Baguska can't change them to defense position, they're unaffected by its effect to negate their effects.
Yeah.
for lack of a better way.
Yeah, that's a good tongue twister. All right, say that 3 times in the comments, guys. All right, the next card is Soul Drain. I haven't seen this card played in years. Guys, what are you guys doing?
It's such a niche card, but the thing is, I have seen it pop up from time to time, and when it gets flipped on you, it's usually pretty devastating.
If you're playing any graveyard deck, anything, monsters that are banished as well as monsters in the graveyard can't activate their effects, and so many cards activate their effects in the current meta, in the graveyard, and or the banished pile, so it's just amazing.
Yeah, and at a small cost of 1,000 life points, a continuous trap that says that is actually very devastating and can be really oppressive for decks like Salamangrate. It could be very impressive for decks like Sky Strikers, where they can't activate their Ray. They also can't activate things like Eldritch the Golden Lord.
Absolutely. And Orcus too, if you flip this at the right time.
Oh yeah, this is a killer against Orcus. Definitely going to want to pick these up for the upcoming format.
And is this card at 3 now?
If I'm not mistaken, I haven't checked the ban list in quite a while. I would have to pull that up for you. Why don't we continue and I'll grab that. Okay, I'm going to assume so because it doesn't have the 1 on it, but we're just going to keep going here. Okay.
Alright, the next card is, Soul Drain's brother. It's recently got an errata, so the card's gotten a lot better. And if you haven't guessed it, it's NECROVALLEY. Uh-oh. Alright, so the newest errata of the card, I believe this is the newest errata. All Gravekeeper's monsters gain a 500 attack and defense. Shout out if you're playing Gravekeepers in this format. Much respect. Cards in the graveyard cannot be banished. Okay, cool. Negate any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to a different spot. So, from the graveyard back to the deck, graveyard to the field, graveyard to the banish pile. And negate any card effect that changes types or attributes in the graveyard. Whoa. Insanely good.
This card is absolutely insane. And as you alluded to before, it's gotten a couple reprints, not just one. And every time they errata this card, they make it more powerful. If you slap this card down in most situations against a meta deck, particularly one like Eldritch, they cannot move cards from their graveyard to any other place. Now, the best thing about this card is those effects can still be activated. So if your opponent is not aware of that and they activate something, they can lose that card, and you can just simply tell them, oh, the activation's fine, but the effect is negated.
Absolutely. Like, they can still discard one for the Jet Synchron, but they just can't summon the Jet Synchron.
Absolutely.
So, a lot of people sleep on this card, but reminder, it's also a field spell. So, if you somehow wanted to fish it out of your deck on your opponent's turn, you could play some searchers, like Demise of the Land, that does help, Metaverse, for that surprise factor. Just a couple things to keep in mind.
Definitely, and it's also a great set rotation target for a deck like Subterra Guru.
Oh man, Subterra Guru, man. Don't get me started on that deck.
One of my favorite decks.
Oh no. Talking about no, the next card is GNOMATERIAL.
I see what you did there.
I've never personally used this card. I've read this card a couple times. I'm just going to read it for you guys. If your opponent special summons a monster while you control no cards, okay, you can pitch this card, so discard it. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls. This turn, that monster cannot be tributed or used as a material for a fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon. You go and use one copy of this per turn. I'm going to let you go off on this card, man.
Okay, so this card, when it first came out, it was around the time of Nats of last format. And this card was incredibly expensive because you could pretty much just pitch this card as a quick effect from your hand, and you can essentially shut off an entire turn. Now in Master Rule 5, this card is a little bit weaker and it has gone down in value. One of the big drawbacks of this card is that you cannot control any cards. So technically you do have to open this card for it to really do anything. But when you do open this card, it does big things.
I can imagine it being really good because back then we still had Nightmare Mermaid, and if they can't link their Ibli into Mermaid, then what are they gonna do?
Exactly, and this also is a good target right now for a Needle Fiber. If they can bring out something with their Needle Fiber, but then they can't use it as a link material, they're pretty much stuck in that situation in most cases.
Oh, that's very true too, because they can't link up to the Needle Fiber, and they only have possibly one or two spots open for a link summon.
Correct. If they bring out a Veiler and they've already used their normal summon, in most cases they might just have to turn that Veiler into a Link Karibo and just call it a day right there.
Feels bad.
Yes.
Okay, the next card is going to be... Oh boy, this is one of my favorite cards, man. Love this card to death. DENKO SEKKA. The back row
the nightmares.
I knew... what this card does is... Cannot be special summoned, that's okay. While you control no set spells and traps, neither player can set spells or traps or activate spells or traps that are set on the field. So if they have 5 back row and none of them are Solemn Judgment or Solemn Warning, you normal summon this card and you clap your opponent in the face, man. Like, it's over, man. It's over.
Yeah, it's pretty much over. Like you said, unless you can negate the normal summon of this card absolutely destroys back row decks. It is the bane of their existence. And not to mention, she's a really thick girl at 1700 attack.
Oh yeah, she's got the samurai sword, like, she's ready to kill. Look at that face, man.
Oh yeah, she's rough, tough, and in there. It's like a lightsaber almost, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. But it looks sick, though, regardless. They gotta make more cards like this.
Yeah, they really do. It's a really good card design. Like I said, it's a little bit difficult to beat over, but not incredibly difficult. But you do have to have an 18 or 1900 beater in most cases to beat over it for a back row deck.
And also, shout out to Thunder Dragon players. This is a Thunder, so you can grab it off a Thunder Dragon Fusion. Big brain, guys. Big brain.
Right, it's great in decks that don't need their normal summon in particular, such as like a Danger OTK type of deck. You can kind of just slap this down. It's kind of like an alternative to TRUNADE in that sense. In this case, it has to use your normal summon, but like I said, it's a pretty big monster, and it does a lot.
Absolutely. The next card is going to be... Some people have talked about this every couple of formats. This card came out in Savage Strike, and you haven't guessed it yet. It's going to be Witch's Strike. If your opponent negates the normal summon or special summon of a monster or the activation of a card or effect, remember, it negates the activation, not the effect itself, the activation. Destroy all cards your opponent controls and in their hand.
Yeah, when I first read this card, I said, oh, okay, if they negate, all right. And then I finally got to the last sentence of this card, and I said, What?
That's a blowout,
Unfortunately,
man.
it doesn't work on something like an Ash, but pretty much any card or effect that you activate that is negated by your opponent, you can flip this card and essentially end the duel in that one instance.
So basically, I have a big conspiracy theory. Okay, y'all gonna see this. Konami unbanned all the Solemn cards and put them all at 3, so you can resolve Witch's Strike.
Wow, you might be right about that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Big brain, guys. Alright, next card. The final card of Destiny, and we are running good on time, so we... Oh boy, F in the chat. For Fossil, Dyna, Pachycephalo, or it's any of the cards that say your opponent can't special summon.
Right.
This card
Tell us a little bit about this card.
is nuts. If this card is flip face up, destroy all special summon monsters on the field. So if you set it and your opponent attacks into it, this card activates during the damage step, so they can't do anything about it at all unless they have like an inherent monster negate. And also, neither player can special summon monsters. The beauty of this card is that you can special summon this card. Unlike Vanity's Fiend, you can actually special summon this card.
Right, if you can somehow put it into your graveyard, maybe off of a Foolish Burial, or just by pitching it as a fodder, you can essentially activate a Monster Reborn and slap this right on the field. Its flip effect does make it better than every single barrier statue in the game. Also, it has better stats.
Yep, 1200 and 1300. Unfortunately, they are not the same stats, so we can't get that extra, you know, good Yuka play in there, but it's alright.
It's a really impressive card. Again, it's a normal summonable Vanity's Fiend. That works really well with anti-meta cards such as Moon Mirror Shield. Essentially, what you do is you slap the Moon Mirror Shield on this as an equip spell. Your opponent can't beat over it, and they can't special summon anything to really out it. They have to have the out in their main deck.
Absolutely, and if they don't have any ST spells or trap removal, that's not going to be good.
Yeah, as they say, it's a wrap.
Oh, absolutely. And there's actually some decks that literally just play Fossil Dyna and like a whole bunch of rock cards and just stun your opponent out. Because you can grab this off of the what's that rock searcher card? Gallant Granite?
Yeah, you can grab this off of Gallant Granite, and essentially what you can do is you can make a Saryuja, and as you alluded to, it can be special summoned. So with your Saryuja special summon effect, you can just bring this out right from your hand, just as you do with the Kaiju in your Crusadia deck.
Absolutely. And that about wraps up our top 10 list. Do you have any final comments, Mario?
No, I think this was a really good list that we put together. Again, and a lot of these cards are pretty budget too, for any player who wants to pick them up. Quite a few of them have reprints, and they're just kind of cheap in general, I would say, other than the No Materials and the Witch's Strikes. But yeah, really good list. It's great doing this with you again, Kemi, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
Absolutely. You guys will see Mario back on the channel next time. Alright, hope you all enjoyed this video. I am AkemiTCG. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification if you want more spicy videos like these. I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, peace.
The world ends now.